Sorry, now you can hear me. Sorry. So it was kind of an uneventful day in court. We continued with Juan Alessi, the butler in Epstein's Palm Beach mansion, his cross examination. Now, it was quite shocking. He left in 2002, and the whole reason he left is he was so angry about the way Ghislaine Maxwell had taken over the running of the household. And she made this household manual that had what he called impossible tasks for him to do. And it detailed exactly where they wanted these notepads. And she had many different notepads that said Lady Ghislaine and in different sizes. And Epstein had 5 different size notebooks and where they wanted them placed and what they wanted him to do. One of the things is they wanted him to put hundreds of dollars of bills in their car, which I thought was so odd, but okay. And other things, make breakfast at 5 a.m., even though they had private chefs, because the chefs like to sleep in. So he would have to make, his wife also worked, Juan Alessi's wife also worked in the house. And they both quit, as far as I know, in 2002, just so angry with the way that Maxwell was directing them. First, he directing them on how they should behave. First, he had a good relationship with Epstein, and then he was telling, and then Maxwell was telling Juan not to look Epstein in the eye. You hear nothing, you say nothing, you see nothing. You never speak unless spoken to. I mean, they wanted to be treated like they were superstars, but obnoxious superstars, superstars who were full of themselves. And so after he left in 2002 or 2003, apparently he fell on some hard times and he went into Epstein's house and stole $6,300. And he turned himself in, confessed, and paid it back. But they made it seem like he did this twice. He said he stuck to his guns and said, I only did it once. And I took this. They were trying to say that he took two amounts, and he's saying I only took this amount and I paid it back and I turned myself in. And also, it turns out that this wife, he also divorced her, and he had a woman living with him who he claimed was just a friend. The defense claimed it was a girlfriend and that he needed that money to pay for her immigration papers. Who knows? But they also did a very weird thing, and it took me until I came home to figure out what this whole questioning was about. Everyone on the breaks, the press were all talking to each other, and we were trying to figure out what they were doing. They were going through and listing all the people that Epstein was friends with that had accents, and specifically accents that sounded English. So Shelley from England, Frances Hardin from South Africa, Mandy Ellison, a lawyer from South Africa, Eva Anderson, who ended up marrying Dubin. She's Swedish. Selena with a Norwegian accent, but a North European accent. So I think what they were trying to do, it took me till I came home to figure this out, was that they were trying to say that maybe when you got these orders on the telephone to order masseuses, because he would get phone calls from the New York office saying, Jeffrey needs a massage and he wants it with this person and that person, and Juan would get it done, would make the arrangements. And he claimed when he was pushed on cross that he wished that these victims had complained because he would have put a stop to it. But I think the point of it was to say, you didn't know that that was Maxwell directing things, but it's so obvious from the manual that she was directing everything, all the rules. She was the lady of the house. She was Lady Ghislaine. So then we had another witness, Gregory. Hold on one second. Gregory Parkinson, who was a forensics expert, and it was very long and tedious. We went through his mansion, and I really expected this to be like Homes and Gardens, the interior with these fabulous fabrics. All I could tell, it was very plain, very few patterns, very poorly decorated, and almost every lamp had a drum lampshade. So I thought to myself when I left court, what am I going to tell my audience? That Jeffrey Epstein had a fondness for drum lampshades? It was very slow going with the prosecution was going through with this witness, each room in each house, and it took a long time because part of what they were showing was video that they wouldn't show to the audience, just the jury. So we were looking at nothing, and we were hearing him describe, this is the staircase, and it just seemed to go very slowly. And then we switched to pictures, and again, it was not a riveting day in court. And what was really apparent by day 5 of this trial is the government really needs a senior attorney to get on their team. They look young, they look insecure, unsure. In this case, they did things in a very long, drawn out, roundabout way that they didn't really need to. Where is a senior prosecutor for them to be sort of like head of the team? I don't know what a better title would be. They desperately need one, or they need a massive dose of confidence. And I hope they pick up some confidence as this trial goes on. Now, if they win, it doesn't really matter how insecure they were, how they fumbled. I hope Maxwell will be convicted. But boy, does she have a star-studded team there. Multi-million-dollar defense. And they are no joke. Lisa Bloom, who sat next to me in court, she was in court today. She says she's leaving for LA today. Boy, did I really like her. She has like these kind of twinkly blue eyes, very game, very open, on the playing field of life kind of person. Don't come at me. I know she represented Weinstein for about a minute and a half, but and went after his victims. So no, she has some things in her past, but boy did I grow very fond of her. Anyway, she called it a dream team. So Maxwell could walk, and I got a great email from Carol, who I did an episode with about the cult that she was in, Christian cult, and she said, I hope Maxwell walks because nobody wants her in polite society. Maybe that would be the greater punishment. I don't know. What do you think of that? I think that I wonder. I think that Maxwell may be so arrogant that it may not matter. So, what can we expect? We have 3 more victims coming up. It was a whole lot of nothing and waiting for an explosive moment that kind of never came today. A lot of boring testimony, and that's I don't know what else. Do people have questions? The trial does resume on Monday. I know that Addie adds did a great interview. Hold on, let me see. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can find it. It was fantastic. With, I believe, was it Julie K. Brown? Hold on one second. Okay, here it is. I really don't want to slander the wrong, with Vicky Ward. Hold on. It was with Vicky Ward, and he asked her about whether she had a prior relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell and if it's a conflict of interest for her to even cover this story. And Ward said she will sue Addie Ads and anyone else who makes the claim that she and Maxwell are friends. So I thought that was very interesting. I did notice that she called Ghislaine Maxwell by her first name in the overflow room in court when we were looking at her. Maxwell continues to wear these white cotton boat neck sweaters. It looked to be either light pink or white, so she's really going with this innocent look, except for Wednesday when she wore all black, including a black mask. So most days it's a white or tan or something to engender trust from the jury. I don't know if it's working. She looks very, very respectable. So yes, she was actually in court. The fake news media hasn't covered anything because they are owned by Democrats. Nothing will happen to Bill Clinton. I agree that Bill Clinton has been almost entirely removed from this story. It's amazing. It's amazing that no one is seeking him out and asking questions. This guy flew on Epstein's plane 17 plus times. I hope correct me if I'm wrong. It may be I've heard bigger numbers than that. A long relationship with Epstein, yet no victims have pointed him out as one of their abusers. But there he is in the story, and he's being ignored. Les Wexner, why is he still walking around? Why are the accomplices not only walking around and not being indicted, but not being pursued by journalists? Why aren't journalists knocking down Les Wexner's door and asking questions? And all the other people in this story, Sarah Kellen, are they so hard to find? Are they under assumed names? I think they're right out in the open. And even if they're not talking, why is nobody doing more kinds of investigative work on them? This is a huge story. And how many more Epsteins are there? That's what I want to know, because the American public's reaction to this story was one of absolute disgust. But our politicians and our celebrities seem to not have the same kind of surprise and disgust. So how common is this? And was he a blackmailer? Was he CIA? How did he make his money? I feel like this is one of these kind of who shot JFK things that might go on for decades and decades. I may not find this out in my lifetime. I hope the younger generation will stick to it. But I'm going to keep it super short and sweet because unless you have questions, does anyone have questions? Have there been any revelations? Let's see. Well, I think the most stunning revelation was the victim, Jane, and Epstein and Maxwell preying on her at Interlaken summer camp. I think that was most shocking. And that abuse went on, and he paid for her senior year of high school at the Professional School of Children. Went on until she was 17, 18. That's 14 years old. And that she said that she was in an orgy with other children. So I wonder about how many more victims are out there that aren't talking, even with this fund. Because what Juan Alessi, the butler, says is that Epstein started with these massages once a day, and then they worked up to 3 times a day. And of course, the defense brought up on cross that with Larry Vasosky, the pilot, who was Epstein's pilot for 3 decades, that Epstein had a bad back and that he actually saw professional masseuses in addition to the children he abused. I don't know what points that wins for them, but okay. But to say this was all about his bad back is insulting and absurd. It sounds very common. Do you mean that there are a lot of Epsteins out there? Wexner resigned recently. Good point. Yes, he did. Too many connections. And there are a lot of conspiracy theorists in court. I had lunch with a woman who doesn't believe Epstein's dead, who's not sure she's looking at Maxwell in court, who's not sure this is in a show trial, has issues. I think I get frustrated because one person mentions Comey's daughter, and then that just becomes a talking point that never really goes anywhere. Meaning it doesn't come with any proof that she's compromised besides being Comey's daughter. Epstein was connected to a lot of super powerful people: Trump, Clinton, Kevin Spacey flew on his plane. Today they talked about Epstein having a picture of himself with the Pope and with Castro in his Palm Beach mansion, which I thought was kind of funny. Why Castro? But there you go. So he got an audience with the Pope. So this was a very well-connected man, and how this went on for so many years, and how he was allowed to either be killed or allowed to commit suicide in jail is really very shocking and surprising. He's connected. Right. I need evidence, at least. I need a little bit more than this person. Like she's Comey's daughter. So this is a show trial. That's just not quite enough proof. And also the defense is doing as good a job as they can with as many bad facts against them. So if they should win, I'm just dreading that more, almost as much as the idea of Maxwell walking the streets. I'm dreading the conspiracy theories that will come should she walk. Why do you find I don't find it all that feasible to have you'd have to find another body double that looks just like him to replace, or would you? I don't even know how that works. And where would you send him? So I think that's it. I'm going to really keep it short and sweet. I don't want to ramble forever because I'm sorry. I wish I had more information to share with you. It was just a slow day in court. Hopefully Monday will be better and more exciting. I will be back. I'm going to try to do it at 6:30 today. I was running late. The train got stuck, but I'm going to try to keep it at 6:30. So check back here on this channel at 6:30 for another update Monday, and have a great weekend, guys.